So thank you for joining me for today's webinar. The topic for today's lecture is interpreting food labels. Interpreting food labels. So we want to learn how to interpret food labels. How many of you have bought something before and you saw a food label on it? Is anybody, you bought something and you noticed the food label on the pack, maybe cornflakes or biscuits or any packaged food?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you understand what I'm talking about. Thank you. So that food label sometimes is also called a nutrition label. It's that panel that contains the nutrition facts, or you can call it a tag on packaged food that contains the nutrition facts about the food in the package. So at the end of today's presentation, you should be able to interpret food labels correctly. When whatever you see on the pack, you should be able to interpret what it means. You should be empowered to make informed choice of foods, because there are different things that are written there are meant for you to understand and be able to make a choice to know whether you should choose this food or choose another one, and then to identify other important information on the food labels that may not necessarily be nutrition related, may not be based on nutrients. So food labels are nutrition facts tag on packaged food. These food labels break down the amount of calories and the amount of nutrients per serving of the food. Anytime you see calories, you might get a packed food and it just shows you 100 calories. It's not talking about the total calorie in the food pack. It's referring to amount of calorie in one serving. The law requires food labels to carry certain information to enable consumers to make informed choices. So the reason why those information are on the label is for you to understand the information, the nutrients, and to be able to make informed choices. It makes it easier to compare the nutrition of similar products. So if you see a cereal, maybe a breakfast cereal that shows 200 calories, another one is showing 300 calories, that information is for you to make up your mind. Are you going to get the one that has more calorie or the one that has less calorie? But always remember that the calorie is referring to amount of energy that they are going to obtain from one serving of that food. Some people think that nutrition label is for people that have allergies so that they can avoid foods that can give them allergy, but it's not only for people that have allergy to food, it's for everybody so that everyone can make informed decision. You should know how and why foods are labeled so that you know what you are eating. Now that's the reason for this webinar. You can improve your health by learning how to read food labels. So because if you understand, you will know the one that has too much sodium, the one that has too much sugar, and then you can avoid such foods. Because if you want to manage your weight, which is the reason why we have been on this webinar for the past 7 weeks, you want to manage your weight, then you should be careful of what you're consuming. Some of us are very careful with what we cook. We're making efforts, but if you don't take charge of packaged foods that you buy at such times that you are very busy and you can't cook, they can spoil all the good work that you have been doing. So the first rule is that the content of the food pack should be real food. Anytime you want to eat packaged food, go to the content. Go to that place where the nutrients are written, the content of that food, that place where it's written. Check what is written there. Is it chemical? Are you seeing something bicarbonate or sulfate, or you are seeing wheat, corn? What are you reading there? If what you are reading there is real food like corn or green peas or peas or rice, then it's real food. But if what you're seeing there is chemical compounds, then that's the first thing that would disqualify that packaged food. Check that ingredients. They should be food that you can recognize and apply the grandmother rule. Whatever your grandmother would not eat, that thing is not good food. Your grandmother will eat natural food. So always apply that grandmother rule. If you check what is written on that package and it sounds like something that your grandmother would not like to eat, then please note that it's not going to do your body any positive thing. Maybe it's just chemicals. So I'm going to take you through some definitions that will assist you in interpreting food labels. If you buy a pack of cereals and you see enriched, or milk, you see enriched, anything like that, you see enriched, it means that this food has been enriched with nutrients that were lost during processing. So that tells you right away that the food has been processed. Some natural nutrients have been removed, and then some other nutrients were added. When you see fortified, if you see that term fortified, it means nutrients were added that were not present before processing. So fortified means that the food is still the same kind of food that you will see naturally, even if it's not packaged like that. But apart from the natural nutrients that are available in that food, another nutrient has been added, or extra nutrients has been added, even if that nutrient exists in the food naturally, but extra amount has been added. Foods should meet the nutrition requirements of the target population it is meant for. So it shouldn't just exist. So sometimes those foods are fortified so that those nutrients can be available to the population. And that's why salt is fortified with iodine. Recommended daily allowance is another term you should understand. Is the average daily intake of nutrient that is required by most LD people to prevent deficiency, to optimize their health and avoid consuming too much of a nutrient. So when you see RDA, recommended daily allowance, that's the average daily intake of nutrients that is required by LD people. Then kilojoules and calories. These are units of energy. 1 calorie is the same as 4.2 kilojoules. Both of them are units of energy. So when you see a pack of food, you either see kilojoules or calories. That is giving you an information about how much energy is in 1 serving of that food. Fat spreads may contain vegetable and marine fat. Marine fat is not derived from whales or dolphins, but from oily fish. So when you see marine fat, you need to understand what that term also means. Marine fat is from oily fish. That's a kind of oil or fat from fish. When you see the term fat-free, it means that that substance, the food, contains less than 0.5 grams per 100 grams per meal. So that the amount of fat that is in 100 grams of that food, that's 0.5. Then low fat means 3 grams of fat per 100 grams per meal. Reduced fat means at least 25% fat compared to the standard products. That's 25% less fat compared to the standard product. That's reduced fat. I'm sure you would have seen low-fat milk before. Low-fat milk. That means the amount of fat is less than 3 grams for 100 grams of that milk. 2% or low-fat milk is almost the same. When you see 2% fat or low-fat milk, it means that milk contains less than 5 grams of fat per 250 ml milk compared to the usual 8 grams of fat. Well, if it is fat-free milk, don't be deceived. It doesn't mean there's no fat at all. It means 0.5 grams. So that's fat-free, 0.5 grams. You can see that there's a difference between fat-free and low-fat. 0.5 grams, that's fat-free per 100 grams or per meal. Then if it is reduced fat, if it is low fat, that means less than 5 grams of fat per 250 meals, or less than 3 grams of fat per 100 gram or per 100 meals. A food additive, that's any substance that is commonly consumed as a foodstuff itself. That's food additive, which is added for technological purpose in manufacturing to assist with making foods more stable. So that substance is added to the foodstuff and is consumed together. But the reason for adding it is to make it stable. That's a food additive. When you see sugar-free, please don't be deceived. Don't believe that there's no sugar at all. It means less than 0.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams or per 100 ml of the product. But no added sugar means no additional sugar was used. So that substance itself might have its own sugar, but no added sugar means that no extra sugar. That means nobody added sugar. So when you see a pack of food and you see no added sugar, don't think it means there's no sugar in that food. It just means that nobody added extra sugar. So all these terms are very important for us to understand as we move forward in the journey of weight management. And remember that sugar can be sucrose, glucose, fructose, galactose, lactose. These are all different types of sugar. Food label, product name, and ingredients. What should you know about them? The name must be as descriptive as possible and should not mislead the consumers. The minimum size of lettering on labels should be 0.75 millimeter so that it can be easy to read. And the volume or weight of products must be stated. Prepackaged food show a list of ingredients. Like I said earlier on, check the ingredients. What exactly is there? It should not be in foreign language. It should be, if you are buying a pack of food and the ingredients are written in a language that you don't understand, don't bother buying that kind of food because you don't know what you're eating. So the ingredients should be written in a language that you understand. And when you check the ingredients, you are checking what is written there. The content must be food, not chemicals. The ingredients are usually listed in descending order of weight. So if you're getting, maybe you've just bought a pack of cereals and you see the list of ingredients, the first thing you see is rice. Maybe it's the Rice Krispies. That rice is the main content of that packaged food. That's the one that has the highest weight. The ingredient list show whether the product contains ingredients you may wish to avoid. So look at the ingredients, check all the ingredients. Does it have lactose? And are you lactose intolerant? If you are lactose intolerant, then go and buy the one that doesn't have lactose. What does it have? Egg? Some may have egg and you may be egg intolerant. In some cases, a category name may be used instead of actual name. For example, a colorant might have been added as a food additive. The specific colorant will not be stated. That general name, colorant, is what is put there. Food with a long list of ingredients will likely clog your body. So buy the one that has the few ingredients. So when you check the list of ingredients, there are not many. That kind of food is better. A long list indicates that the food has been processed and is not healthy for you. You know, there are levels of processing. So if there is a long list, it means that the food has been highly processed and is not healthy for you. The less ingredients, the better or the healthier for you, especially for weight management. If a food is making a claim like high in protein or rich in roughage, then it must provide details of the nutrient analysis. So don't just pick a pack of food that says high in fiber and you believe it. No, go and check that ingredient place. You will see all the ingredients. Then the nutrition panel, the food label, that place where you see calories, check that place. How many calories? Don't just believe the claim. Then check under carbohydrates. What amount of sugar? Remember, each nutrient and the amount written there is for 1 serving of the food. It's not the total in the whole pack. So if for 1 serving is showing you that sugar is very high, then you need to be careful. The claim of high amount of roughage or fiber might not be true. So you need to check. Ideally, whatever is on a nutrition panel should be the truth. It should be true. But some countries have not paid enough attention to such food labels to be sure or to assure the public that everything there is correct. Some foods provide the added nutrition information and it's correct, it's perfect. So it just depends on where you are getting the food from. So provision of nutrition information specifically related to fat, fiber, sodium, and energy should be there on the food panel. The nutrition information is usually in a table form and it provides the type of nutrients that are there. So if you see protein and the amount of protein, it matters. Carbohydrate, what's the amount? Fat, energy, vitamins, minerals, the amount of each nutrient available in a serving. And then sometimes some food nutrition panel may put the amount available in 100 grams or 100 mils. The amount usually written in front of calories is not the total calorie, and I'm repeating this, that the amount usually written on that food panel, the amount of calorie is the amount in 1 serving. For example, if on the food pack, you are told you see 2.5 servings and you see 200 calories, can anybody unmute and tell me the total calories in that food pack? If you see calories 200, servings 2.5, what would be the total calories in the food?
500 calories.
500 calories. Thank you very much. Because you have to multiply 200 calories by 2.5, and that will give you 500 calories. So that would give you, because if you start eating, I remember when I was in secondary school, I'll start eating a big pack of biscuits, and I'll just feel like this biscuit is nice. After all, it's my money. My parents are not here. If I finish it, I finish it. And if I like, I will not buy another biscuit this week or next week. And I'll just sit down with a pack of biscuits and finish it in 2 days. You know, that big pack. So you cannot finish a pack of biscuits or cereals, maybe ready to eat cereals like that without knowing the calories, and you just gulp 2,000 calories in one sitting. You should not be carried away by what is written on it. The total is what matters. So that can guide you to know the amount of servings that you would eat. If you see serving size, that will point your attention to what makes a serving. Sometimes it might be 3 pieces make a serving of that particular food. If a package has 8 servings and you eat the whole package at once, That means you are eating 8 times the amount of calories. So if the calorie is 200, you are eating 1,600 calories right away. So you need to be careful and check whatever is written on a food, on the nutrition panel. Now let's talk about the different nutrients that are usually written on it. So if you pick a food pack and you look at carbohydrates, total carbohydrates is telling you the total carbohydrates, and then sometimes it breaks it down and it shows you the sugar, the fiber. So please choose foods that have more fiber. So if you pick two packages of cereals, maybe ready to eat cereals, and you're wondering which one should I pick, you see fruit and fiber, you see cornflakes, you see Golden Morn, and you check the nutrition panel, and then fruit and fiber is showing you that the fiber content is highest. Then you can choose fruit and fiber. Or Golden Morn is made from whole corn and is showing you that it has highest fiber, then choose that. So whatever is giving you highest fiber is good for you. Then check the vitamins and minerals. Which one has more vitamins, more minerals? That's also good. That's a good one to choose. Then the one that has lower calories, lower fat, lower sodium, lower added sugar, that's a good one. Anyone that has high amount of trans fats is not good, and you should avoid such. Carbohydrates are easily burnt if you get involved in physical activities or planned exercise. But if you don't do exercise, the carbohydrates just get stored in your body. So all of us should avoid refined carbohydrates. So if you look at the ingredients, and the ingredient is white flour, you know, the ingredients are written at the lower part of that nutrition panel. The ingredients are different from the nutrients. The ingredients can be flour, water, fat, different soya fat, different kind of things can be written in that ingredient corner. So if the ingredients is showing you that it's white flour and you now see carbohydrates, high figure, that means the kind of carbohydrates there is refined carbohydrates, and you should avoid that kind of food. But if the ingredients is showing whole wheat or whole corn or brown rice, that ingredient is safe, is good food. So the carbohydrates that you are seeing up in the nutrition panel is safe for you. So please choose healthier foods with less than 20 grams of carbohydrates per serving. Can you note that? Less than 20 grams of carbohydrates per serving. Then under carbohydrates, you will see dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is good. It enhances digestion, it lowers cholesterol, and is good for weight management. Dietary fiber is good. The sugar content should be low. Sugar is linked to several diseases, so the sugar content should be low. Low fiber and more carbohydrate is dangerous because the carbohydrate will still turn to sugar. So if what you are seeing is low fiber, the food is showing you low amount of fiber, and the carbohydrate is more than 20 grams of carbohydrate, then don't choose that kind of packaged food. The ingredients will always help you to interpret the nutrient content correctly. Ideally, people should not consume more than 100 grams of carbohydrates per day. So if everyone should consume 100 or less grams of carbohydrates per day, and then you have eaten rice in the morning, you have eaten maybe pounded yam in the afternoon, you've already taken more than 100 grams of carbohydrates today. Then you now pick a pack of biscuits, and that pack of biscuits is a big pack, and it's showing you 70 grams of carbohydrates. You can't be managing weight and go ahead and finish that pack of biscuits. If all that you are even seeing there, all you are seeing there is 14 grams, 14 grams. But remember that that 14 grams is just per serving. So if you have 10 servings or 5 servings, if you have 5 servings and you have 14 grams, that 14 grams, you have to multiply it by that 5. And that's going to give you the total amount of carbohydrates. So you know that you cannot afford to take 70 grams in addition to what you have eaten that day. So that's about carbohydrate. What about fats? How can you interpret fats? The next time you look at a nutrition panel, you've seen calories, you've seen carbohydrates, then you see fats. Some will even put details of the fats. You can see total fats, polyunsaturated fats, saturated fat. How do you interpret that? Large calories are present in fats. So when you are choosing food, choose the ones that have less fats or the ones that have healthy fats. So the less the fat, the better. And then if you have checked the ingredients, you would have known the type of fat that is there. If the ingredient is telling you nuts, then you know that the kind of fat that is in nuts is healthy. The amount written as total fat, like 8 grams, is the amount of fat in 1 serving. You can see that I'm repeating that because you must not forget, that's the critical information you need to get from this webinar, that the amount you see in that nutrition panel is the amount in 1 serving of the food. So if you see 8 grams and the food is 10 servings, then the amount, can anybody tell me the amount of fat in that food? What we are seeing under fat is 8 grams, total fat 8 grams. But the number of servings in the food written up is 10. So what is the total amount of fat in that food?
80 grams, ma.
80 grams, thank you, Lydia, is 80 grams. So you have 80 grams of fat in that food, and you need to be careful not to eat all because you'll be taking too much fat into your body. So just maybe you want to take a little bite and then you leave the rest for another time. The percentage written on the right-hand side in front of each nutrient is the percentage of the nutrient available in 1 serving. So if you pick 1 serving, then that percentage that you are looking at is the percentage of that nutrient that is available in 1 serving. So that percentage is different from the total fat. Fat is essential for the body. Calories in a 2,000 calorie diet, for example, you should have less than 1% trans fat, less than 1% trans fat. So if that food is going to give more than 1% trans fat, then it's not advisable. Some fats are not written, but they are good for consumption. So they are less concern. For example, omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids. Saturated fat is not very terrible, but it should be limited. But trans fat is very bad. It can cause a high level of cholesterol and it can block blood vessels. So let me talk about protein now. Protein is a premium food for the body. So the body enjoys good amount of protein. Protein will provide different things. It will provide bodybuilding materials that can help you to build muscle. It can also be burnt to provide energy, but that's not its primary function. It can help you to keep your weight steady and helps the body to repair itself. Foods high in protein provide better satisfaction from the meal. Protein improves the metabolism. It promotes lean tissue. Your weight can give you a rough idea of the amount of protein you need per day. So if you are wondering whether you are taking too much protein or whether you should go ahead and eat that food, judging from the amount you've taken already in the day, what is your weight? Let's assume that you weigh 60 kilograms or 70 kilograms. You don't need up to 70 grams of protein because the protein you need is just 80% of the value of your weight. So you don't need up to 80 grams of protein if you are weighing 80 kg. You need less. So that should guide you to the amount of protein you need. So if I'm weighing 70, then maybe I need just about 60 grams of protein. One egg contains up to 7 grams. 1 cup of rice contains up to 7 grams. 1 cup of beans contains more than 7 grams. 1 piece of fish that is like the size of an egg contains more than 7 grams. So you can put everything together and determine the amount of protein that you are taking in a day. I'll soon round up now. Nutrition panel, looking at that place, you also see vitamins and minerals. The ones that are important for you to check is the number 1 is sodium. Check the percentage of expected daily intake. If 25%, it means 1 serving contains 25% of the amount of sodium you should take in a day. That means if that pack of food is 2.5 servings, then that means 62.5% of the total sodium you should take in a day is in that pack of food. Just imagine. Meanwhile, you have added salt to your rice that you ate in the morning. You've added salt to the sauce. You've added salt to the sauce for pounded yam. Processed foods generally are high in sodium and you should be careful. So immediately you see up to 25% of sodium, that kind of food, maybe you just take a bite and avoid it, because if you consume too much sodium, it's going to mess up your efforts in weight management. Vitamins and minerals amounts are usually low, so we should rather focus on consuming enough amount of fruits and vegetables to get the vitamins and minerals that we need. So whenever you buy a pack of food, please check all these things that I've talked about, and then check the claim. When a claim is made that a food contains vitamins and iron, then that iron should be up to 15% of the recommended dietary allowance. Remember what I said about recommended dietary allowance? That's the amount that 98% of adults will need in a day of that food. So if a food is claiming that it's high in iron, it should give you up to 15% of the amount needed per day. If it says it's rich in fiber, it should contain at least 2.5 grams of dietary fiber. If a product is high in fiber, at least 5 grams of dietary fiber. So check what is written. Is it saying source of fiber? Is it saying high in fiber? Those terms are very important. If it says the food is free of a particular substance, check other foods that are similar. Are they also free of that substance, or is just a false claim? For example, some people package oil and say cholesterol free. There is no plant oil, there's no vegetable oil that has cholesterol in the first instance. So that cholesterol free is a false claim, it's just a marketing strategy, because there's no vegetable oil that has cholesterol. So be careful of such claims and don't allow that to mislead you. Apart from the nutrition panel and the list of ingredients, sometimes some instructions are also written on a food label, and this can be storage and cooking instructions. Storage instructions are only obligatory for frozen and chilled products. Some manufacturers recommend storage conditions to ensure the preservation of the product. So what they want to ensure is that by the time you are tasting the food, they want it to be as its best and that is safe to eat. That's why you are being given the storage instructions. So it's very important to follow storage instructions. If you are told that this food should not be stored for more than 3 weeks, then don't store it more than 3 weeks. If you are told that after opening, you should refrigerate for 3 days, then don't go ahead and be consuming it after 5 days. Because it's when it's fresh that it can deliver the nutrients that are written on it. If it's no longer fresh, it's showing sign of discoloration, it's easy to spot. There are many foods where it's impossible to distinguish between safe and unsafe, but if you have any feeling that this thing might not be safe for you, the best thing is to do away with it. Following preparation and cooking instructions ensure that you get your food as its best and you prevent illness. Recommended defrosting and cooking times are determined to ensure that any harmful bacteria or substances are destroyed before eating. Sometimes you also see instructions for use and best before date on the food panel. These instructions are there to make sure that it tastes best. The dates marked on food labels are useful to protect us against food that may be unfit, because something may become poisonous after some days. So please don't take those dates for granted. By the date, the food must not be dangerous for you. So after that date, if you eat it, then you are the one putting yourself at risk. Stating a best before date on the label is mandatory, so make sure you check, and when you see it, you obey it. Some foods are not labeled because they are just natural foods, even though they are packaged, but there is no label, maybe egg, unprocessed fruits and vegetables. They are prepared and sold where they are eaten, so they don't carry full label. Then drinks like carbonated water and some dairy products follow a standard recipe. So there's a standard, so some of them might not have label as expected. It's also important for you to understand additives, preservatives, and colorants. Some additives are preservatives that make the food stay longer, like sulfur dioxide and benzoic acid. They're generally safe, but few people may react to such additives. That's why they are written there, so that if you eat that food at some point and it's not, you react to it, then you know that you should avoid such food next time. Then antioxidants, they prevent food that contains fat, oil, fruit juice from becoming rancid after it has been opened. You know, when fat is exposed to the atmosphere, it might react with the oxygen, and then the oxygenation makes the fat to taste somehow. That's what we are calling being rancid. Another additive is emulsifier and stabilizer. They ensure that ingredients like oil and water mix together that would normally separate, but they ensure that they mix together. So they may be added to food as well. So when you see emulsifier or stabilizer, don't be afraid of that word. It's safe. Thickeners can also be added to give body to the food. The commonest gelling agent is pectin, and this may be added to ice cream. It's safe. Colorants make the food more colorful and appetizing. One example is tartrazine is the commonest colorant and is safe, so you should not be wary of it. So flavor enhancers, flavorings, enzymes, and others are safe. Many people are afraid of foods that contain monosodium glutamate, but what is important is just to limit your intake of sodium generally, whether through monosodium glutamate or table salt generally. So the problem is not the MSG, monosodium glutamate. The problem is just to control the amount of sodium that you take. Additives such as specific preservatives and flavor enhancer are listed to allow people who may be intolerant of them. So some people may be intolerant of MSG, might react to it, so they need to be careful. Ingredients derived from milk or egg are indicated with those words so that if you are reacting to them, you can avoid them. This list will probably be extended into the future to include more allergens like soya, wheat, and peanut, because some people react to soya, wheat, and peanut. So they need to be written on food label. But even if they're not written, but you already know that you react to wheat, then the best thing is to avoid bread, biscuits, and other foods that contain or that are made of wheat or soya or peanut. Anything that you react to, your best option is to avoid them. Avoid processed foods generally. That's the message from this webinar, that if you can, eat natural food, eat your own cooked food. But sometimes you're out and you don't have a choice, you just must eat something that is packaged, then check it. Check what is written on it. First and foremost, go straight to the list of ingredients that are written at the bottom of the nutrition panel. Check this list of ingredients. Is it food or is it chemicals? If it's food, then check the nutrition panel. What is the amount of calorie per serving? What is the amount of carbohydrates? Follow the things I've said this evening. If the carbohydrates is more than 20 grams, that means more than 20 grams per one serving, that carbohydrate is too much. If the added sugar is high, if the sugar under carbohydrates is high, is not good for you. If the fiber is low, is not good for you. If the fat content is high, is not good for you. I've shown you that an average person will need less than 60 grams of, or maybe about 60, an average lady, 60 grams of protein. So if the protein is very low, the carbohydrate is very high, then you need to be careful. The gold standard for additive free eating is to eat foods that have undergone the minimum amount of processing. So build your daily food intake around natural grain products, unrefined carbohydrates, unrefined breakfast cereals, fresh fruits, vegetables, with moderate intake of meat, fish. You know that fish is better than meat. I hope you remember. Then egg and dairy products, moderate amounts. You should be able to limit your intake of additives to a minimum if you are eating natural foods. Organically grown foods describe how some fresh and processed foods are grown, typically with little or no synthetic fertilizer or pesticides. Despite the claim, no scientific evidence shows that organically grown foods are healthier or safer for health. So we might not be able to say for now, but some foods contain a lot of fertilizers or pesticides. So you rather choose the one that have less, the natural ones, the ones that are grown on farm where those things are less. So in conclusion, you need to avoid processed foods. Eat mostly natural foods. If you don't have a choice, then the packaged or the processed food you want to eat, read the food label and follow the guidance I've given today. Remember that the calorie written on it is just for one serving. So multiply it by the total calories so that you will know the total amount of serving. Ensure that the ingredients are real foods and the ingredients are not too many. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying with me on this webinar. Bye.